Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, everyone? Hello, hello. Happy holidays once again. S Max Yarum. What's up, Cindy? How's it going, Noxel? What's up, Junie? For those of you that did celebrate, hope you guys had a solid Christmas day with the fam, friends, or whoever it might have been with. How's everyone doing? What's up, Opal? Man, I played so much piano yesterday. It was awesome. My fiance's brother is a really talented drummer, and we played Christmas music pretty much the entire night. It was pretty awesome. Not normally, but yeah, yesterday I got a chance to jam for quite a while, and it was nice because I was really expecting my wrist to cause some problems, but it wasn't hurting at all yesterday. Felt a little bit swollen today though, unfortunately, but that's all good. I iced it in the morning. Y'all know the drill. But I'm surprised some of you people are here, to be honest. I thought a lot of people would be gone. I guess the holiday's technically over now, so but yeah. Glad to see you all here. Damn. It feels weird. It's Friday. I'm so used to streaming on Thursdays right before Feedback Fridays. Yeah, it was a Christmas miracle. That's right, Cindy. You played with your cousin? He's a saxophonist? Nice. That's awesome. Okay. And just a reminder for y'all, if you do want to share something you're working on, since it is Feedback Fridays, just type !join to enter a random raffle, and then your name will be randomly chosen today. So we'll see how many people actually show up to share stuff that they're working on. But yeah, we'll just see how many people are submitting stuff, and if we run out of music, then maybe I'll transition towards producing for a little bit. We shall see. Yeah, only Christmas remixes, bootlegs. All right, let's check it out. Let's roll to the first winner. What's up, Moogard? How's it going? Merrick Grimbus. It's always me. And rhymed with your song title. All right, what do we got here? This is a Moogard with The Party. Ooh. I like these drums. For about an hour. Ooh, I'm turning points from all the carrots around my neck. Tonight I'm taking out the bling and I'm dressed to impress. Out on the street, all the taxis are showing me love. Classic. 'Cause I'm shining like a princess in the middle of thugs. And at the club, the bouncers recognize my face. So while you waiting in the line, we just enter the place. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. You with me, so it's alright. We gonna stay up the whole night. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. I'm calling all my ladies at the table 3, throwing back a couple bottles and the taps on me. I like this part. Then we start to get crazy. Table dancing, smashing glasses, it starts to get naughty. It's time to show 'em how we do on the floor. So while the DJ play my track, I want my girls on the floor. I got the surround sound, so why wanna see me fall? I'm just trying to have a blast, and I ain't taking your call. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. You with me, so it's alright. We gonna stay up the whole night. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. You with me, so it's alright. We gonna stay up the whole night. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. You with me, so it's alright. We gonna stay up the whole night. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky
Cool. There's some interesting stuff going on there. So I saw a chat saying that this is a vocal from Justice. And actually the first thing I thought of was definitely has a Justice vibe. So I don't know if it might be a remix, I suppose, of the OG, which I don't know. I didn't recognize the vocals myself, but
We got a new follower.
Yo, Tories, thank you for the follow. It's cool. There's some really cool stuff happening. It reminds me of what is it? Bastion. They have a similar sound as well. And I love that kind of stuff. It's like the I don't know. It kind of has like this OTT on the master kind of vibe going. Yo, what's up, Tories? If you have something you want to share, it's Feedback Friday, so I choose people randomly. So yeah, you can submit a song for a raffle to be randomly chosen at some point by doing !join in the chat. But yeah, Cryptic Gamma, what's up? You had a question? What's happening? I'll keep giving some feedback here for a moment while I. Oh, I thought that would let me send a message with the question. I asked the question back up a little bit. Oh, I see. Cryptic Gamma. What prompted you use to use a goat on your album covers in the past? Okay, well, it's a kind of random tangent here, but it was I think like I'm not sure if it was 100% my idea. I think it was kind of like a joint decision. There's a designer, a graphic designer I was working with back then. His name's, well, I think on Newgrounds, his name was Roosh. We're still friends now, actually. He's incredibly talented. He's actually become a very successful artist. He creates kind of like he has his own book series, I believe. So he does a bunch of really cool stuff. But either way, the goat was supposed to, I think we were just talking about like, I don't know, something symbolizing ambition, or I don't know. Honestly, that's what we were thinking of. But this was like, I was like 16, at the time. So it's pretty young. And I was just like, I don't know, just experimenting. And we landed on the goat. And also, Roosh, the guy that I was working with, really enjoys kind of like using animals as characters. And he still does that now in his artwork. So that's kind of the history behind that. But anyways, all right, back to the feedback. I was going to say, like, there's some cool stuff going on. My biggest gripe, I think, at the moment is just the arrangement feels really random. Like, you have this chord progression. What is it? Something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Why don't we just enter the place? Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. You with me, so it's alright. We gonna stay up the whole night. Let's get this party started, right? Let's get drunk and freaky fly. I'm calling all my.
And it feels like it at some point here, it kind of starts switching up, especially at the end. There's this kind of. It's actually really cool. It's just kind of, it feels kind of random, which could be something that you're intentionally doing. just like taking a left turn. But yeah, it felt kind of out of place, I suppose. I also really like this section, by the way.
Throwing back a couple bottles and the taps on me. Having some giggles, then we start to get crazy. Table dancing, smashing glasses, it starts to get naughty. It's time to show them how we do on the floor.
How does it start again?
When my day is over after picking the right.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, primarily, I think the biggest bit of feedback I have is just to think more about the arrangement. But yeah, I like a lot of the sound selection. I like a lot of the sound design. Don't know the original, so I can't really speak too much on like how much you're using from the OG versus where things are at here. But I really like it. I think it's actually, I think personally it's not an easy style to pull off, even though it's very simple. So yeah, I think the Linn drums were definitely the right call to be messing around with stuff in that vein. But either way, thanks for sharing, Moogard. I don't really have too much else to share. I feel like that's pretty much all that came to my mind, and yeah, appreciate it. Let's move on to the next person. Let's see what y'all got. What's up, Virtual Snow? This is a track I've been working on for my first album. Sweet. Let's check it out. What doth we have here? Cool. Got a little bit of a sci-fi vibe going. Kavinsky vibes of it. Yo, ID, thank you for the follow. Cool. Yeah, it's a cool idea. I like the structure. Feels good. Got a very consistent vibe throughout the track. So, I had a few thoughts. I think in general, everything's working. Things feel like nothing feels like extremely out of place, which is a great foundation to build off of. I think, it's it doesn't sound to me that there's really anything mix wise, for example, that is really standing out or somehow louder or too loud than other instruments or sounds and stuff like that. So I think you're off to a really good start here. I think for my tastes, I think there's room to expand on what you have so far. So one of the things I was thinking about is you have this melody, right? Like the hold on, let me make sure. Right? Which is great. I think that there's room for you to use some other sounds there instead of just Rhodes. Like, especially considering like the feeling of the song, it's to me it feels very much like Kavinsky, Drive kind of music, like that film. But either way, maybe explore some other lead sounds that could kind of potentially work there. Something like that. Like all these, there's probably a lot of really good options. You could add some little extra flourish notes in there. Little things like that could be really nice. Then, oh wow, sorry if you guys can hear that. There's I think the city might be like trimming a tree in front of my house or something. I don't know why this always happens during one of my streams. Okay, I'm trying to think of what other feedback I have here. I think the ending, again, structure, like the arrangement, everything seems great. And the general bit of feedback I have is that I think there's room for more exploration and like a little bit more fine tuning. And another example of that is this ending here. just as a keyboard player, I think that it feels a little bit it just feels a little bit unnatural to hear just like these blocks of chords being played, like here with these roads at the end. Oh, I don't know why it stopped loading there, but anyways, I think that maybe just like strumming some of the MIDI could be cool. So the first chord is like that G flat minor. Obviously that's a piano, not Rhodes. I could switch it real quick to show you what I mean, but you get the idea. I think that kind of like you know, making it a little bit less rigid could be nice. That's obviously a bit more like funky, these voicings I'm playing. But I just think little details like that can really help in the long run with the track. But anyways, just some food for thought. Thanks again for sharing, Virtual Snow. Lots of really cool stuff going on there. Yeah, of course. Thanks for sharing. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. Let's keep it going. What's up, Noxel? Good to see you here. This is a little sketch, not very mixed. Work on the structure, yeah, for sure. Let's check it out. Let's do it. All right, Worth It by Noxel. Like the strings here. I recognize that lead. Awesome. Exalt, thank you for the follow. It's a really cool idea. I think it's actually a little bit of a departure from what I've come to expect from you, Naxel. So it's nice to see you expanding your genre horizons a bit. Awesome. Lots of good stuff going on. I feel like the composition, arrangement, everything is like pretty solid from that standpoint. Mixing wise too, there's nothing that is like really somehow bothersome or like excessively loud. I do think that actually, speaking of the mix, I think one of the first things that could be toned back a bit though is that hi-hat, relatively speaking, to the, compared to the other sounds, is definitely sitting a bit on top of the mix. It's not really that intense, but I also think that I know you were asking specifically about the sound selection. I think there's a lot of great sounds, a lot of great like sound choices, I suppose you could say. I like the drum kit you have here. I like the choice of bringing the strings in around here somewhere. Where is it? Oh yeah, right here. One thing I feel I'm still thinking that in general it feels like the drums aren't really side chaining much. I think depends on, you know, the sound that you're trying to go for, the kind of like reference mixes maybe that you're using, or the kind of the kind of mixes you like. I would personally prefer to have you know, the kick and the snare maybe side chaining sounds a bit more. Maybe they are currently, but it doesn't really sound like it to me. Yeah, I think I would definitely I would push you in that route. One thing too I was thinking about is you know, you have this section here, this kind of like build something like that. Which is nice. It sounds very full, and you know, tensions are rising. And then there's obviously like a bit of a build here. You got like the 16th note drums, I believe, something like that, leading into this section here. So, with that being said, I do feel like you should try to, you don't have to do this. I do think that like you could have something that's a bit more dramatic happening here. Because if it feels like there's a lot of tension being built, and it's not really being resolved in a satisfying way, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case here, but it could be. I'm not really entirely sure, because I heard it and it didn't really bother me for it to go into this section, but I could see how, as a listener, if you're hearing like you know, drum rolls and sweeps and all this kind of stuff leading to something, and you have kind of like something you've probably heard before in the song, and it you know, the loofs on this, not that that's somehow like extremely important or anything. I think it's probably a bit lower here actually than in this build section, right? So I would urge you to think a little bit about the dynamics and the loudness, because like you're implying by building a lot of tension, you're saying like, you know, I'm taking you to a particular moment, and I think that it can be really important to consider you know, volume is a big part of how to execute that. So I would just, I'm not saying like turn everything up here. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I just want you to think about like the perceived loudness aspect of it as well, you know. But yeah, I really like the idea. I'm a sucker for these kind of chord progressions, by the way. You probably know that anyways by now. But you know, stuff like Never Count on Me and like Supersonic and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, thank you so much for sharing, Noxel. You're always doing some really dope stuff. So yeah, good luck. I think that in terms of more, I don't know if I have more ideas and suggestions, but you could experiment with some like bass sound design. You could experiment with some bass sound design here. You could try to, you know, imagine you have, you know, all these tracks with different sounds that are happening here, right? Something you could try to do is mute all of them and then just kind of like selectively mute and unmute different tracks at different points just to see if kind of like, you know, calling attention to one thing at a time versus having them all play at once could be interesting. It might be a fun way to experiment with that section. But anyways, thanks again. Appreciate it. Let's roll to the next person. Yo, what's up, Rafa? Good to see you here. I think I missed a question from Easter Dams. Hey, do I post a link here for feedback? Nick Nav, thank you for the sub. There's a lot going on right now. Hold up. If you want to enter a raffle, so the way that I do Feedback Fridays is I just ask people to enter a random raffle by typing !join. And then, you know, I don't give people preferential, you know, treatment or anything like that. Everyone is randomly chosen. Thinking about maybe creating a better system for that in the future, because sometimes I've noticed people will join at the beginning of the stream and they'll be sitting around for like 2 hours and maybe they don't get picked, and somebody that joined, you know, a few minutes ago will randomly you know, win the raffle, which is a bummer. So I think like maybe it'd be cool if the amount of time somehow contributes eventually. Maybe it could like push you slowly forward if you've already been waiting a long time. But anyways, we'll figure that out. All right, this one's from Rafa. This is the same project from last time. Yeah, let's go. Let's check it out. This was I really enjoyed this.
I know the type of man you are. You're hiding in plain sight, always out
nice. Thank you for sharing, Rafa. It's a really cool idea. I think like it, for some reason, it reminds me a little bit of Hiatus Coyote. Not sure if you're a fan of their work, but this is kind of like mixed in a way that kind of resembles more of a live band, and obviously it's largely acoustic instruments from what I could tell. Maybe the occasional VST or something in there, I'm not sure, but it's really cool. It's a nice tune. I'm trying to think of like feedback, because like I'm used to giving feedback on I guess more electronic sounding music, so I'm trying to like readjust a little bit here. I know the song starts off kind of like with this more of like an R&B vibe with kind of like the, you know, slow rim shot kind of groove, the Rhodes, kind of like Sade almost a little bit. You're hiding in plain sight, always out at night. I can see right through all the things you do that make me lose my mind. If you want, you can be my type. Get to know yourself a little and make it right. I would say this part here does get like a little bit I like all the kind of like staccato kind of chaos that's happening. You know, there's all these kind of like little things happening. I wonder if there's a way to maybe like tone it down a tiny bit to make sure that like her voice is staying on top of the mix. Was that a Junior Redeem the baby? Baby Redeem? All right, hold on. Let me get through the feedback for this track, and I'll get Senor Baby. Senor Baby. I think like, you know, just making sure that the vocal stays more on top of the mix than most other sounds is going to be helpful. And it's not like most of the time that's the case, and then occasionally there's like, for example, that little synth there that pops in, and it's a tiny bit too much, I think, volume wise, but anyways. You like to go out sometime, have a little conversation, I'll teach you kind. I also think that like depending on what kind of an approach you're taking for the like production aspect of the song. Yo, Cryptic, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Really appreciate that. I think what I was gonna say is what was I gonna say? Kind of forgot my thread of thought there. Oh yeah, I was gonna say like there could be room for some you know, a little bit of production sweetening, like little refinements and little ear candy things. You know, I could see some you know, ducking a delay or something on her vocal. I love using this delay plugin on vocals. It's free actually, so shout out to whoever made this, Integratio. But this thing is literally free, and I absolutely love it. For vocals, it can be fun to like put up the duck all the way, and then turn on like ping pong. You can experiment with the settings, obviously, but I think there's just room for some like little ear candy flourishes, little things like that. And because right now it does very much sound, for the most part, like just like a kind of like a live recording, like a band playing you know, maybe like a live set or something like that, which that's totally fine. I think for me personally, I would love to hear a little more ear candy. I promise you're no fool. I might just think you're cool. We can talk some more. And if you think it's true, I know the type of man you are. Yeah, I think that I'm wondering again about like the vocal presence here.
We can talk some more.
Now that there's like Rhodes and organs in here, and it does kind of like compete a bit in that that same frequency range. I wonder if you could use something like again, free plugin, just a random thought, but maybe you could throw a compactor on those organs and have the vocals kind of gently sidechain the organs to make sure that her voice is staying on top of the organs, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's just little things like that I think could help a lot, because I think that her voice, her singing is obviously very important to the song. So in my mind, it makes sense to kind of like prioritize that. But actually, in general, it sounds very well mixed though. So I like the drums a lot. But that's all I got. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, the mix on the busy part was pretty hard. I can imagine. But that's the singer's main reference. Oh no way! Nice. I could see that. I had a sidechain special thing on the vocals, but maybe not enough. Oh yeah, gotcha. It's possible. I think you could get away with doing a little bit more. But yeah. Thanks again for sharing, Rafa. Good to see you here. Let's see what we got next. Opal wins. How's it going?
We gotta do follow-up.
Hey, thank you for the follow, Dr. Crisis. I'm kind of surprised to see so many friendly faces here. Oh, wait. I gotta get baby. Sorry about that, Junie. I'm gonna load up the track and let's just give me a moment here and I'll get the baby boy, see where he's at. He might be upset with me. You can just type !join if you want to enter the random raffle for Feedback Fridays. All right, I'll be right back. I got some bad news. Sorry for the wait, y'all. But I took photo evidence, but he's just way too cozy right now for me to pick him up. He's just he's in this little cubby. I can't get him out of there. He's too cozy. Feels too mean to disrupt his day like that. Most of the time he's bored and he wants attention, but when he's that comfortable, I don't really want to disrupt the chill sesh, you know. All right. Thanks for waiting, y'all. All right, we got this next track by Opal Winds. Let's listen to it. I like this. Yeah, I can show you the raffle here real quick. That would actually be cool to have a way for people to see the amount of raffle entries. Very cool. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I think I love the exploration of that motif throughout the song. It's kind of fun to see it just continually evolving throughout the 3 minutes. Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything that particularly bothered me that's like mix wise or arrangement wise. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I think one thing I would say is that I kind of wished that the sounds generally felt like they were part of the same like world, if that makes sense. Like sometimes like here the strings sound a bit dry. And then here things are very kind of like more washed out and like reverby. It would be nice if I mean, I totally get that like you're not going to have the same reverb settings on all the elements throughout the song. But that being said, I think it can just really help to create a little more consistency in that regard, because in my opinion, it's a big part of like sonic world building, I guess, is to have that kind of like aesthetic consistency. But that was just a thought that crossed my mind, that would be really nice. Then one thing I noticed as well, the bass line is really it's an interesting choice to move it around like that. Is the bass line playing the melody too? Not quite. I think for my personal taste, it might be a little bit too like jumpy. Kind of I mean it's again, just my 2 cents, right? I mean, I'm just throwing my opinion out there. Take it or leave it. But I think the bass is just such an important part in rooting the foundation of the song. And it's not like you always have to play root notes or something like that. But I feel like for me it would have been a little bit more satisfying to hear that the E into F maybe the first time, and then it could maybe the second, the third time go a little bit more exploratory. But yeah, that was one thought that crossed my mind. I do like the rhythm a lot, by the way. It's a really creative way to explore. It feels kind of like a little bit of a glitch hop kind of vibe on it. Yeah, I think just for my personal taste, I would have tried to own in on that the E F movement more so, and then maybe the first time doing that, and then again, like I said, kind of going a little bit crazier after that, but trying to keep bringing it back to kind of like that, kind of like those primary 2 notes, and then and then after that going crazy with like the inversions and. But either way, it still works. It's not like it's somehow some detrimental part of the track. It's kind of like a personal preference kind of thing. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say this lead maybe. It's really cool. I do think that there's some a little bit more taming that can happen in those higher frequencies. Maybe like a Pro MB might not be enough, actually. I'm really sorry about the noise, y'all. Can you guys hear that? I hope not. What the hell are they doing out there? I swear, somebody in the city, like, whoever runs these, like, city cleanups wants to sabotage my streams. This has happened so many times. There's a noise? Okay, at least you guys can't hear it that much. Yo, thank you for gifting that sub, Chairboy. That's really kind of you. Anyways, that's all I got for you, Opal. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's roll on to the next person. Easter Dams, what's going on? there's for sure something major going on. I see people with seen some big vehicles, lots of reflective jackets. Yeah, you got something for us to listen to, Easter? Oh, Spotify. All right.
MR. Yeah. All right. I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you might like. That's right. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions we can try. All right, baby, you can tell me everything that you have on your mind. And I promise you that you will have the best night of your life. Oh, tonight we break the rules. There's nothing we won't do. It's like a dream come true. I know
Yo, what's up, Chairbar?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you might like. That's right. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions we can try. All right, baby, you can tell me everything that you have on your mind. And I promise you that you will have the best night of your life. That's right. Oh, tonight we break the rules. There's nothing we won't do. It's like a dream come true. Oh, oh. Yeah, I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you might like. All right, I got 1, 2,
It's catchy.
4, 5, 6, 7 positions we can try. That's right, baby, you can tell me everything that you have on your mind. And I promise you that you will have the best night of your life. Oh, MR. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's a catchy idea. I think obviously it's in the pop lane, so things like, I'm not sure repetitiveness is actually that important. Like some of the things that popped into my mind, that was one of them that I was going to point out, but I don't think that really matters that much in pop music. As long as there's some kind of variation, which there is, I think it's totally fine to keep calling back on that chorus. But either way, yeah, it's a really it's a catchy tune. I think from a production standpoint, there's probably a little bit of room for like I would I think it could be cool to ask yourself like, oh, what would Max Martin do or something like that, right? I think that there's a lot of production choices that could potentially improve the track a lot. Produced it myself, and I've been doing some for some months. Really nice. That's really impressive. So I would I think we're just referencing more pop music production. If it's only been a few months, then like you're off to a great start. I would totally challenge you to, you know, try to like, maybe you're already doing this, so ignore me if that's the case, but you know, looking at on Spotify, you know, you can say show credits and it'll tell you who produced certain songs. So going through a lot of pop artists who have made something that you really liked, and maybe you can like look through the credits and see like, oh, this producer is a common thread maybe among some of the tracks that you like, and then specifically seeing, you know, what other songs they've made and maybe cross-referencing it to your track. So A-Bing it and seeing like, you know, what are some things that that you didn't notice maybe that your music is lacking that they're doing, or, you know, there's just room for, I think, like a lot of embellishment. You've got a great foundation and the track sounds good. I think there was probably room to explore that the whole idea a lot more. So like, I'll give you a quick little example. The chorus, the 7 positions line, you know, maybe the second time, because you've already heard it the first time, you know what it sounds like. Maybe the second time you just have like a fake out into the chorus where you have just a kick drum hitting while you're counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, fill, you know, like something to create a little bit of variation, draw the listeners back in, make sure they're not staying desensitized to getting too used to, like too comfortable, like having heard the same thing like over and over again. So, you know, there's a degree to which repetitiveness is good, but you also don't want listeners to know always 100% what to expect. So having those little moments could be really great. Did I oh, it's just a watch streak. Never mind. What's going on? Why so cold? Thanks for joining. It's an interesting balance in a track like this, totally. So yeah, thanks for sharing. It's a cool idea. Let's go on to the next person. What's up, Exalt? Sure thing. Seems like a slower day for entries. Yeah, for sure. I'm not complaining. I'm honestly surprised that this many people showed up to share something. I thought it was going to be like 3 people. So Exalt, we might have to come back to you. Looks like you may have stepped away. So let's roll on to the next person in the time being. What's up, Brainio? You got something for us to listen to? Damn, look at that. It's crazy to me how fast people are with the links sometimes. Whoopya! All right. God's Fortune. Or, sorry, Good Fortune. By God's Warrior. It's a good idea. Arrangement and everything makes sense. I think you have a solid foundation here. Really, I think that at this point, I just think there's just a lot of room for more variation, more little creative moments, and attention to detail, little polish, little flourishes. I think that everything is working. You have a good ebb and flow, the energy, like in general, the sound design is good. I think there's just room to bring it to just take it a little bit further at this point. So you have like a 3.5 minute track that works quite well from beginning to end. I think that you can kind of like say, well, here's something that works in its current state, but let me try to just like mess some stuff up and get kind of like, just get kind of messy with it and see what kind of weird things you can find that might bring out even more flavor in the track. So I'll give you a little random example here, but let's go to the first drop. It's cool, simple melody, and I like that it's alternating between these two different patches, which is really cool. So already, I think you could have had a few little tiny little choices that you could have made here to make things a little bit more interesting. For example, like, you have these long reverb tails on those melodies. Maybe, maybe those don't always complete. Maybe you do little stutters going into, what is the melody? Something like that, right? So maybe the second melody you have, it's a little thing, but having all these little flourishes, I think, can amount to a lot in the long run. It might not seem a lot to be like, oh, add like a few extra notes here. Just little things I think can stack up to create like have like larger effects down the line. And you guys know that famous example of like two ships, out at sea, and one of them is like takes like a 1 degree turn. And at first they're kind of like going the same path, but if they keep going for hours and hours at a time, eventually they'll be miles and miles apart. And I just feel like, maybe that's not the best analogy here, but I just feel like those little differences can make a lot of, they can have a big impact overall. So I just think that there's a lot of room for stuff like that. And I think especially the second time around, especially. So you have the first drop, and I think that it's the listener's first time hearing it. So it's a bit less important in some ways to like get super creative with it, or have like a bunch of flourishes. But the second time around, I know you had that little kind of like brass hit that's kind of that is different compared to the first one. But it would have been nice to hear something that is like not like completely different, but just something that sets it apart from the first drop in a bigger way. This is a very random thought, but for example, you could have like the reverb. You could have a washed out 100% wet reverb track of the melody with a like a tremolo effect on it, doing like 16th notes, like kind of like make it a little bit rhythmically different, and that could be interesting. I don't know, I'm just throwing out random stuff because I just want you to think more about little details like that can kind of make it even more interesting than it already is. So that's pretty much all I got for this one. This is kind of random, but I think that I would also you know, I think when it comes to mixes, I don't mind mixes getting kind of like a little bit like distorted and stuff like that. And I don't think that is necessarily the case here, but I do feel like there's like a little bit more muddiness in the low end than I would personally like. I'm not sure if maybe there's like maybe I'm not sure if there's maybe some distortion coming from like a little bit of an overlap between the kick and that like side-chained bass sound, or I don't know exactly how it's set up, but that was just something that I was thinking about as well. But yeah, it's a really cool tune. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it, Radio. Let's move on to the next person. Got about half an hour left here. What's up, White So Cold? How's it going? Merry Christmas, y'all. In case you didn't hear me say it earlier. All right, what do we got here? Is this gonna be a remix or a bootleg of Drop It Like It's Hot?
Drop it like it's like it's drop it like it's let's go. Yeah. Like it's drop it like it's
Nice.
let's go. Drop it like it's like it's drop it like it's let's go. Yeah. Like it's drop it like it's
Sick. Hell yeah. Really cool. I like it a lot. I think there's a I feel like I see a lot of potential in the idea. The vibe reminds me a little bit of kind of like that Hamdi is that how you say his name? Hamdi? I'm pretty sure it's Hamdi. That kind of like style of I don't know. There's a whole debate, I guess, going on that I am not getting mixed up in dubstep versus 140. Either way, I'm not sure where in the spectrum it falls, but it kind of reminds me of that style. And I do like it a lot. I think there is some tracks on what was it, the 2023 Skrillex album that are like this. I think it's a cool style. So I'm trying to think about some feedback. It feels to me like there's a lot of cool sound design going on. It feels like the mix is pretty solid. That being said, I'm trying to think about like I kind of feel like the dynamics can be kind of I think you could reduce the dynamics more. I think that is kind of one thing that's in my mind at the moment. It's like,
Drop it like it's. Let's go. Yeah. Like it's. Drop it like it's.
and the switch up here is cool too. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think about other feedback to give here. Man, I haven't really produced actual bass music in quite some time, so I feel like I don't have the greatest like lingo right now to be able to talk about these things. But yeah, in general, I feel like there could be room for maybe some tiny like more flourishes. I know I've been talking about flourishes a lot today, I guess, but like you have a lot of fills and a lot of moments already where you're kind of like subverting the listener's expectations and like in great ways, catching you know, making sure people are continuing to listen and like paying attention to what you're doing, which is great.
Like it. Drop it like it. Let's go.
It'd be kind of cool. I think what I want is I want these patches to sound more like they're processed in more of a group style way, where right now it feels a little bit like they're just switching between different serum patches, like, you know, going from one MIDI track to another MIDI track to another MIDI track. And I wish there was like some more effects gluing all that together. And, you know, obviously group processing is the way to kind of like approach that. I don't know exactly what kind of group processing, but that's one thought that I had. Right now, it's just feeling like they're kind of a little bit too separate from each other. And it still works, though, obviously. By the way, I think you have so the track is in F minor. I think you have some pad in the background there that's in the wrong key. Yeah, I think you have a pad in G minor in the background, and your track is in F minor, I'm pretty sure. So you... Oh yeah, I hear it actually in the background there too. It's playing... And yeah, your track definitely is more in F minor than in G minor. But yeah, anyways, really cool tune. I was just trying to think of things that I can point out that might be helpful in some way. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for sharing. It's a really, really cool bass music has no wrong keys. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. Let's roll on to the next one. Thanks for sharing your work, Why So Cold. It's really cool to see, like, I just appreciate it when people come back with more music, like on a regular basis, things that they're working on. I love seeing the scope of people's creative output. I think this might be my favorite track of yours, although the last, I think it was it last week's submission was also really sick, I'm pretty sure. But thanks for sharing. Let's check out what else y'all got. Dr. Crisis, what's up? I missed a chat from Rabba earlier. Rabba Gast. Looks like you joined, so we'll probably get to you here. There's not too many people left. Sorry, Cherbor, I know you've been waiting. We'll see if we don't hear from Dr. Crisis here in the next like minute or so. We'll probably move on here. Do you have a good Christmas? I had a great Christmas. It was fantastic. You know, my fiance's family and mine are getting closer and closer. This is our third Christmas together now, and it's just it's really awesome because we all love music so much, and me and her brother played jazzy Christmas tunes for like hours last night. It was amazing. How do I submit? !join enters you into a random raffle. So people are being randomly chosen. I'm not giving any kind of preferential treatment to anybody. But yeah, let's we're potentially gonna come back to you, Dr. Crisis, but it looks like you've stepped away. Sir Wong, what's going on? You got something for us to listen to? Wrote some ambient music. Let's check it out. Ambient Christmas album. Gorgeous. All right, let's check it out. This is Recovery. Structure. I don't know if I would consider it ambient though. A little too groovy for ambient. Yo, what's up, BC Youngin? Cool. Follow up. Yo, thank you for the follow, BC Youngin. Well, it's a very peaceful vibe, even when the drums aren't there. It's groovy, but peaceful. Cool. So I do have some thoughts on the idea, but I can see here in the description it says demo track for my sister's game. So that being said, I don't know exactly the context of, like, you know, the song, if it's meant to be used in a particular way. But, you know, seeing this kind of like pixelated sunset kind of thing, I like the chords a lot, and it's cool that there's not a normal like amount of measures either. I think that's interesting. It makes it more memorable. I was gonna say I feel like the drums are a little bit out of place actually, because they sound like they would fit better in like a Bruno Mars track than in what I'm hearing in this track so far, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I know you said it's a demo, so you know, forgive me if I'm kind of like hearing it going a different direction, and you just haven't had the time to flesh it out some more. But I do feel like the drums are maybe a little bit out of place. It's still cool though. It still works. But yeah, it might be nice to maybe they it'd be cool if maybe there's like some you know, at least maybe like a fill going into that first downbeat, just to help prepare the listener a little bit. But yeah, the other thing is like I noticed that the sounds are very dry, which is definitely like it can be a very intentional thing. I know that sometimes having that in games is actually like it's actually really satisfying from like a world building perspective for some reason. Like Minecraft has that I'm pretty sure in a lot of music, like these very dry sounding OSTs, and it's a vibe for sure. There's something about it. The fact that it's like not polished and unprocessed matches the feeling of Minecraft. You know, it's not about like having the most incredible graphics in Minecraft, obviously, right? I mean, that's at least how I interpret it. Is like it's more just about, I don't know, exploration and you know, it's whatever you want to make of it, but like it's not really meant about like pushing graphics that much. So that's why in my mind having those kind of scores that it has, it fits so well. Thank you, Sora Dubs. Appreciate the follow. So, you know, if that's kind of part of the vibe of the game that you're, you know, the demo track is for, then I feel like that totally works. However, if that's not the case and the game is kind of like more polished and like kind of like more cutting edge, then it could be cool to try to explore some more sound design and maybe like some more soundscaping and that kind of stuff. I think there's room to have a few elements that are excuse me, maybe have some like a shimmering reverb kind of sitting on top. I don't know, there's a lot of things you could do. So yeah, I get it's just demo, so there's only so much I can infer from the direction that it could take or it will take and all that. But either way, that's the thoughts that I have for you, so thanks for sharing. Sweet. Cool. All right, let's roll on to the next person. BC Youngin, what's going on? Chairboard, before the stream ends, I'll make sure to we'll listen to yours. We gotta create a system for the Feedback Fridays where people that have been in the stream for a while get ranked higher eventually. In the beginning, I don't mind it being random, but eventually, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I don't think it's fair for people that have been around for like 2 hours to get like you know, not chosen at all. Eidolon will build that out. That would be really sick. That would be really sick. We might be skipping BC Youngin here, depending on whether we get a link anytime soon. Yeah, weighted priority for people who have been waiting for a while. It could just be like increments, you know, for every 15 minutes you've waited, maybe you get another level of priority or something. We're going to move on. It looks like they weren't here, so Prod MK, what's going on? You got something for us to listen to? Would you want something hard or unique? I would probably go the unique route personally. Unique-y. something unique. Let's see what you got. I like the chord progression from Sir A.A. Wong. Both hard stuff. All right, let's check this out. See what she got. Holy distortion. All right, if this is no offense, I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to make it through the track if this is all there is. It goes hard. It's just, it is pretty aggressive. Yeah, okay. I get the idea. It definitely it is unique, I guess. I think unwrappable. I don't think so. I could hear a top line on this of some kind. And I'm not pausing it because I'm like I'm saying like I don't like it, by the way. It's just it's very assaulting on the ears, which obviously is the intention. That's exactly what you're going for, I'm sure. So don't take that the wrong way. That being said, I just don't know what kind of feedback to give you, to be honest. Sounds like you're intentionally making something that grooves, that is also really distorted, and yeah, and you've definitely, if that's what you're going for, you've definitely achieved that. That's for sure. Embrace it. Hey man, I gotta protect my ears, dude. I'm old. I barely have any hearing left, so I'm trying to keep what little hearing I have. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what this sounds like with the top line, though. If you got anyone that can rap over it, I feel like that would be interesting to hear. But that's about the only feedback I got for you. Is there? Can you even? I'm trying to see if I can even tell what key this is in. I think it's E flat. Okay. Anyways, yeah. I don't know. I don't have too much more feedback for you there, unfortunately. But thank you for sharing. Voltage 003 energy. Yeah, I could see that. But thank you for sharing. Prod MK. Let's see who else we got here. MVRS EDM. What's going on? I think after this one we'll I don't normally do this. I don't think I've done this at all on feedback streams ever, but I think for now I am going to follow. Yo, Joiva Trex, thank you for the follow. I'm going to step in and just ask Cherbor to share his track here after MVRS's submission. Can I submit one more? No, I'm sorry. We're just doing one track at a time. Otherwise, it'd be really hard to get through everyone's submissions.
Always been an outlier.
All right, this is Don't Let Go by MVRS.
Held with you, but I saw, but I thought I'd never find, and I don't wanna let go.
like the chord progression.
Through crowded senses, I still hear you now. And I don't wanna let go. If you don't wanna follow, but I can feel my mind slipping through the net. No, I don't wanna let go. Praying that you follow. No, I don't wanna be alone inside my head. Find me in the dark.
Where are the vocals from? Just curious.
Don't you hear me? Calling for your love. Don't you hear me?
Vocalfy, what is that? Oh, interesting. So basically, it's like a library of pre-recorded songs, and you can buy the exclusive rights to them. Does that sound about right? Or can anybody have access to that? So like this top line, for example, before we get into the feedback, I'm just curious about this because I just wanted to understand it better. It's like this top line, can somebody else also go to Vocalfy and use it / buy it? They own the rights to the vocal, but I own the rights to the original song. Okay. So before we get into the feedback, I just want to point something out that in that case to you, I understand you might be a little bit new to producing and such. It sounds like you said you've been doing it for about 6 months. Track sounds great, by the way. You've been producing for 6 months. It's really impressive to be making a track like that already. But before I get into any kind of feedback, I just wanted to say that I would be careful with relying on a platform like that. Like when let's say like you're using sounds from a company like Splice, right? At least then they're royalty free, which it sounds like obviously, well, actually, I don't know what I'm saying. Like you can have the same issue with Splice that I was just about to point out, where basically what I was trying to say is that, if other people have access to this top line too, that could actually end up causing some problems because, you've produced this entire 3-minute song around the vocals. It sounds great. But if somebody else hears it and is like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to buy that vocal on Vocalfy too. And then without crediting you, they could essentially create their own drum and bass version of this exact same song. They wouldn't, there would be no room for repercussions because, it sounds like you're essentially like licensing the use of the vocal and you don't have any kind of like exclusive ownership over it. So I'm just throwing it out there as a consideration in the future. Maybe you could follow. Hey, thank you, Clomber, for the follow. But I'm just trying to like look out for you as an artist. You're gonna be spending a lot of time and effort like learning how to produce stuff. And if you're building a lot of, if you're doing that around something that you don't have exclusive rights over, it's fine to do it if it's kind of like more just something you're doing for fun and such. But if you want to, invest in the long-term value of your brand, your project, and those kind of things, and you want, a long-term career, I would be careful about that kind of stuff. Like it can be good as a practice to probably access those top lines, and write something, but you could also do that in lots of other ways as well. I know it's a little bit of a conundrum, but I just wanted to point that out and make sure you don't rely on services like that too much, because I wouldn't want you to be in a position where, like, I'm just giving you a hypothetical here. Let's say you finish the song, you release it, and it does incredibly well. well, like I said, somebody could take this exact vocal from the sounds of things. It might be misunderstanding because I haven't used Vocalify before, but it sounds to me like other people could just take that vocal and make their own rendition of it, because they liked hearing it and how you did it, and then like, they would in a way be able to ride off of the success of your song, by basically just taking that vocal too and making their own thing with it. Normally, obviously, if somebody were to use a portion of your of some like any kind of part that's in a song that you wrote, you produced, it would have to be yeah, there'd be a whole process for that. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Doing it for fun, that's totally fine. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I'm speaking more like long term, but yeah, I think like, so listening to the song again, I think that like the structure is great. I think the chord progression is really nice. You're complimenting the vocals really great.
Praying that you fall. No, I don't wanna
It's obviously very melodic, very emotional. I think like for me, the part that needs the most work, specifically from like a mix standpoint, is the drop here. So there's a few things going on here. I think that in general, I think the sidechain settings are kind of creating a little too much ducking. So that kind of like pumping feeling is a little bit too much, and it can be a little bit distracting. So I think if we look previously in the song,
praying that you fall. No, I don't wanna be alone inside my
I totally get the idea of wanting to have more sidechain going on in the drop, but it feels like maybe you need to fine tune the parameters of that a bit more. And like sounds in general are kind of like competing a bit in these weird ways, even despite the sidechain. So I'm a little bit confused on what's going on here. It's possible that a lot of sounds need their like dynamics massively reduced to kind of like make it easier for you to know how to make sure everything is placed in a way that makes more sense mixing wise. And the snare actually is kind of getting lost in the mix. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how the project file is set up here, but I mean I hear the sidechain, and yet the snare kind of feels like it's a and the kick as well is also it might, part of that I honestly might be sound selection, but yeah, that's a little bit of an issue right now. And this might be more of a personal anecdote, but I think that like having a horn library as the primary sound for a main melody in a drop for a drum and bass track, I'm not too crazy about that. I feel like you could come up with something way more interesting for like some kind of a synth sound design. I mean, it could be a supporting element for sure, but for it to be the primary leading sound for a drop, I'm not too convinced by that. One other random thing, because again, I think the rest of the song is really pleasing, so I'm kind of owning in on the drop here, but the build as well. I think it's really important to pay attention to like your dynamics throughout the track, right? Like you can even see in the file here. I know SoundCloud, their waveform is like obviously not very accurate, but I think it could make sense to have some automation going on here on like the kick volume, or maybe some like maybe there could be like a high cut that's sweeping up, getting closer to the drop, because basically you don't want too much volume happening right before the drop. Otherwise, the drop could end up potentially feeling a little bit underwhelming. But yeah, just some food for thought. I think that everything else in the track is actually sounding quite nice. You know, there's a again, I know you said you started like 6 months ago, so this is a really awesome start to your like music production journey. I would say sound selection, I would probably choose slightly different drums for something like this, but these work perfectly fine. So there's nothing wrong. So another thing I would say too is that like in terms of kind of like having a sound as like the primary element of a drop, right? Like again, like even something like messing around with vocal chops, I think, or something like that would have been a little bit more interesting than having like this kind of like horn library thing. But that being said, I understand like this is you know, cathartic moments in the song. So if you want to be highlighting a melody or something like that you're hearing, I totally understand that. But anyways, just some food for thought. I really appreciate you sharing it, and it's a really cool tune. All right, y'all. One sec, Chairbor, are you in the chat at the moment? Because if you are, I'd be happy to wrap up this stream with one of your submissions. Yeah, you're welcome, VRS. Junie, you got all your majorly important, very serious music-related stuff double, triple backed up. Do you mean like project files and that kind of stuff? Because yeah, I technically do. I used to use all right, Chairbor, so, send us a link of what you got. I'd rather just make sure that I mean, you're here a lot. You were here at the beginning of the stream. Sorry to other people, but you know, he's been waiting here for 2 hours. Is gonna be the last one for today. But yeah, Junie, I used to use external drives, but now I use basically I have Dropbox syncing every single project, every single file. And the nice thing is there that like, you know, my computers, I have multiple computers, so they're all synced, which means that like, you know, I have everything on my laptop, I have it in the cloud, and I have it on my studio computer. The only downside to that approach is like, yeah, if a file in one area is deleted, obviously it'll sync it, but there's ways around that. Anyways, this is a Chairbor iBoop chat. I don't know what that means.
Spread the news. It's coming way down here. Oh, it's gonna touch everyone, even those who don't see. They're gonna wonder what's going on. Don't matter what they think. When it touches, they will know how bad it can be.
like the kick that you're using. What the hell? Definitely the heaviest chairboard track I've heard. What the hell? Okay, so it's a sample challenge, it sounds like. I think, like, in general, you're definitely executing, like, the sound design and the mix for rhythm, I feel like, pretty convincingly. I don't really know the difference between rhythm and tear out, if I'm being honest, because I don't really listen to either. But that being said, I've definitely heard both. And I feel like you've got a knack for it, for sure. My thing is that it feels a little bit too chaotic. It feels like that it needs to be more of some kind of phrasing or motif that's a bit more that you can latch onto. So, like, hold on, let me go back to that first drop briefly. So, like, you know, you have this. I'll just give you a quick example of what could work, right? So you have this big major chord, which sounds really sick on that downbeat, and it's kind of like a fake out moment, right? Maybe you repeat that big major chord on occasion, right? I mean, you know, Skrillex is kind of like an OG when it comes to incorporating, like, the you know, using chords as a way to communicate, like, patterns and energy in dubstep, right? So, like, there's gonna be, like, that downbeat with the big chord. And then maybe there's going to be, like, towards the end of a phrase, there'll be maybe a couple of additional chords introduced that then lead right back to the downbeat, which then has that same chord again. So in your case, what is this? Sounds like a major 9, E flat major 9. But it'd be cool if maybe that kept recurring as an example. I'm just throwing something out there for you to consider as a way to kind of, like, create a little more structure with the drop, because the energy is there, right? I think even something as simple as just having, like, that big major 9 chord popping in every, like, 4 measures or something, or I don't know, maybe every 8 measures, it would just be really helpful to, like, guide the listener a little bit. Otherwise, all you're hearing, and again, this could be intentional, but, like, all you're hearing is just, like, this barrage of energy and sounds. And yeah, I mean, that could be a thing for sure. I'm just throwing it out there. Also, I think you definitely have a knack for four to the floor stuff. I think everything I've heard of yours up until now has been four to the floor, so I liked hearing this section. But again, a bit chaotic. It feels like there's not really I actually think that that's something that I find really interesting about the stuff that you do, because like some of that chaos I think is really cool. There's like this really unpredictable nature to like the patterns in your productions. But I do feel like for a genre that tends to be the genres you do tend to be very dance floor focused. So obviously like EDM on some level tends to try to appeal to the dance floor. So it's just something to consider, you know, like, is it something that you can, if you weren't paying attention to it, would it be easy to groove to it? Probably still, because of like the simplicity of the rhythms. Obviously it's just 4/4, no matter whether it's like the more housey section or the halftime stuff. So like, yeah, you're going to be able to kind of groove to it, but I do think that like a little more predictability could help. So maybe toning down the chaos just a tiny bit. I think the same actually I could say for like the way you structure songs too. It feels a little bit chaotic because it's like you never know where things are going. And again, some of that is really dope. But a little bit more predictability I think would be nice as a listener. But anyways, that's all I got, y'all. That's it for me for today. I'm sorry if I didn't get to you, and appreciate y'all hanging out. I really got to go to the bathroom. Been chugging this water over here. Multiple people told me my stuff is too chaotic. Well, I know. I agree, Noxel. You know, it's kind of like, I'm just gonna throw this out there real quick too. That like, I think it's important to stand your ground as an artist with things that you know you feel strongly about. And I think oftentimes now more than ever, leaning into the things that make you unique are actually, great ways to build, community, or like, people that have that niche interest. And I think it can really be a powerful asset. So it's totally up to you whether to take that criticism or feedback I shared seriously or not. Pet the baby? Oh, I will. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, good to see y'all briefly. I'll be back on Sunday for another stream, 1 to 4 p.m. CDT. So that's it for me for today. Good to see y'all again. And we'll chat soon. Hope y'all enjoy your weekend. See you guys later. Peace out.